Hey guys, it's Kyle. Welcome back to another video. You may have noticed that all the new skins in Piggy are much more detailed than all the Book 2 skins in Piggy, which are much more detailed than all the Book 1 skins in Piggy. So I decided, what if I recreate some of the OG skins and try to give them a glow up? So the first one I'm going to be doing is Dinopiggy. Something I've noticed is the hands have weird spikes coming out of them. It's like weird claws. The tail looks kind of odd because it just kind of comes out of them. The spikes don't really line up. Like the transition from the tail spikes to the rest of them kind of look a little weird. He also has spots on his body, which why does he have spots on his body? So I'm going to be remaking the Dinopiggy skin first. The first thing I'm going to be doing is remaking the hands because last time I checked, neither pigs or dinosaurs have hands. So I sort of combined the two of dinosaur and piggy hands because pigs kind of have like hooves and dinosaurs have claws. So I decided to make hooves with claws, kind of, if that makes any sense. This kind of took a while. I was struggling a little bit on adding the spikes for the claws because it's hard to line them up properly. And the idea was it was a hoof that had claws inside the hoof, like a hoof with long nails or something, I don't know. It kind of worked, I think. I made the claws be like a yellowish white because I doubt their claws would be completely white. I also changed the color of the skin because the other green didn't really look very realistic. And I tried to find the package that cost like $50 to have like a dinosaur skin that came out in like 2020 or something. I was going to use that as a reference, but I couldn't find it, so I gave up. So instead of having the human-like arms that the skin currently has, I decided to just remake my own. Which was quite a struggle doing in Roblox Studio. Don't ask me why I didn't do this in Blender, because I don't know. And you would think after this skin I'd learn my lesson and make the other skins in Blender, but nope. I just did them all completely in Studio. So the arms look a little bit odd, but it's okay. And most of the time I spent on this was making these freaking arms. I also had some trouble attaching the hooves to the rest of the arms because the vision I had in my head sort of didn't work out for a T-Rex. This is supposed to be sort of like a T-Rex, by the way, because I don't really know what any other dinosaurs look like. I was trying to connect it smoothly, not have it look disconnected, and it wasn't working out so good. My original vision wasn't working out so good, but I eventually kind of got to work. So I duplicated the arm and switched it to the other side. It's not very even the way it's positioned, but that's fine because I don't think a T-Rex is holding out their arms in completely the same position. And instead of remaking whole new legs, I took the arms and turned them into legs. I kind of just repositioned everything so that work as legs. And my only reference this whole time was this weird goblin. I didn't have a reference of an actual dinosaur, and the more time I spent making this skin, the more I forgot what a dinosaur even looks like. So the feet, I don't know if the feet are meant to be that small. I just took the claw. I don't know what dinosaur feet look like, but he just has really good balance, alright? That's why his feet are so small. Don't worry about it. I then tried to make a new torso because the original torso doesn't really match up with the new limbs I gave it. Which, this was also kind of a struggle. And the more time that went on that I was making this, the more lazy I got with everything. So I didn't have the parts really line up completely like how they were in the beginning. So it's pretty lumpy, it's pretty jagged and spiky. Just pretend these little weird parts are scales, alright? And the bottom was looking kind of weird, so I added some cake to him. And oh, she's looking snatched. Then I attached the body to the rest of the dinosaur, and I positioned the body so it'd be kind of like it was like crawling, or not crawling, but like walking in the way a dinosaur walks, I think, is how they walk. I don't know. I've never met a dinosaur, so yeah. Anyways, I spent a while repositioning the body and the limbs and all that, and then to add the eyes, you can't change the color of the eyeballs on the head because it's all like one mesh. And I didn't want to recreate the whole head, so instead I just made little slits of eyeballs so that it kind of looks like there's an eye. The eyes that are already attached to the head are just eyelids, and then there's a little slit that shows the eyes. And because of that, it's sticking out a little bit more than the rest of the eyes. Usually your eyelids would be more raised than your actual eyeball, but in this case it's the other way around. So just ignore the fact that his eyeballs protrude out more than his actual eyelids. He just has astigmatism. We're twinning. I made the pupils the same as the original dinosaur because I don't know if they have some special meaning, like what color pupil, and I wasn't really trying to change that. And I had to recreate the nostrils, which they're not completely lined up. He just has a deviated septum, alright? And now I'm making spikes, which originally when I was making them, it kind of looked like he just had a mohawk or something, and I didn't really like that. So then I found a triangle in the workspace that was like rounded, and it just kind of replaced the old spikes with that triangle, with the new rounded triangle, which I thought looked a bit better. And after I did all that, I realized that T-Rexes don't have spikes, so I just wasted all that time for nothing. So then to cope with that, or to really just ignore that, I started working on the tail. By this point I was a lot more lazy than I had been in the beginning of making this. The tail doesn't look so great. It doesn't really look very smooth, and he had a birth defect. His tail looks a little odd, but don't worry, I gave him surgery, and sort of fixed it, if you can really call that fixed. I couldn't change the texture of the head to match the rest of the body because it's a mesh, so the reason why his head is a lot smoother than the rest of his body is just because he has really good skincare. Anyways, this is the final skin. Let me know if you think it was a glow up or a glow down, and if you absolutely hate it and you think it's absolutely hideous, then just pretend you like it because it took me 2 hours and 15 minutes. Anyways, I named him Piggy Rex, P-Rex for short, because I'm not creative, and that was the skin, so I don't know how to feel about it, but yeah. The next skin I'm recreating is Doggy. He doesn't really look so much like a dog, he looks more like a cat with his pointy ears. It doesn't really look like dog ears. And he doesn't have a tail, which, like, what kind of dog doesn't have a tail? He kind of looks like if a dog and a bear had a baby, which would be kind of strange. So yeah, I don't know what kind of dog it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a German Shepherd, like how a police dog is like usually German Shepherds. But I'm gonna make him a German Shepherd because when I think of police dog, I think of a German Shepherd. The first thing I started doing was working on these hideous ears because last time I checked, dogs don't have perfectly pointed ears. And this time I actually had a reference for the skin. I was actually looking at photos of German Shepherds, and I tried to recreate the ears, and I thought that the top was a little bit too wide. The ears were a little bit more pointy, so then I recreated it, and I still thought it was too wide, so then I made it a little bit more pointy, and I decided to stick with this version of the ear. Third time's the charm, you know? And also, it's not completely triangle-like. It sort of goes inward at the base of the ear. So I made it go straight down instead of just going to a full triangle. And I also noticed that even then, it still goes inward at the end as if it's like an upside-down triangle or something. So I made it go a little bit in at the end. So it's sort of like a triangle into a square into... I don't really know what the last shape would be, like a upside down triangle, I don't know. But yeah, that's the shape of the ear. I think it was pretty good. And then I indented it so it would have like that little part inside of Animal's ears that is like pinker than the rest of the ear. And then it started looking kind of like a bunny ear, so I made the indent a little bit bigger. I also changed the color because the inside was a little bit more brown instead of pink. German Shepherds also have like little areas where their fur is like darker brown or black, and I tried to sort of have that effect on the ear. I tried to add like a brownish blackish part on the outside of the ear, and it just kind of looked weird. I couldn't get it to look right, so I just gave up on that. And I attached it to the original dog head, and I kept trying to do this for a while, trying to make it line up and look less like a rabbit. And it wasn't really working because I couldn't remove the original ears, and so I had to cover the original ears with the new ones, and it just didn't line up properly. So what I ended up doing was just remaking the head, which is what I tried to avoid doing on the last skin. But on this skin I just remade the head because it was annoying me how I couldn't line up the ears properly. And even after I did this, I still spent forever lining up the ears, because the ears on a dog's head in real life isn't in the middle of their head, it's at the back of their head. So I tried to make it be at the back of the head, but that didn't really work, so I ended up putting it more in the middle of the head. I guess there's a reason why all the piggy skins have their ears right in the middle. And then I messed around with the textures a little bit, but I thought that the plastic one just looked best, and the ears look kind of like, didn't really look so much like a German Shepherd's. I didn't really want to give up on the aspect, the darker brown and the black parts of the fur, so I added it a bit to the ears, and that it looked a little bit odd, and it took a while, but in the end, I think it looked alright. It's like, if you look from far away, it doesn't look too bad. If you look close up, really just don't look close up, honestly. And then I added like another part of the ear where it tapers in, and then added some more dark fur. I kind of just kept adding details to the ears because it wasn't really giving German Shepherd, because I had the ears and the head be like the orangish brownish part that most of the orangish brownish color that most of the dog looks like, but then there's also like different colored sections of the fur, and it just wasn't really showing that. And then I ended up actually changing the whole inner part of the ear, the color, and then just added other colors. And I realized to duplicate the ear I would have to switch all the details I added to the other side. I can't just flip it. So I was originally going to add a hat on the side of the ear, but then that looked weird, so I decided that I was actually going to make it so the ear was partially ripped off, so I wouldn't have to add all those details and spend all that time, which making it look ripped off took me a lot of time anyway, so I probably should have just duplicated it, and it didn't even look that good in the end. And I ended up adding some details later on that the other ear had because it just didn't look right. But for now, I'm adding details around the eyes. The eyes kind of have like a little circular area that's darker brown or black or something, so I started adding that. And here's me recreating the freaking details on the ear. I should have just made the whole new ear. Also, the inside of the rip parts is gray, so I decided that actually the ear didn't just get ripped off, it got blown off by a gun, and the gray part is the shrapnel. So, yeah. I thought it was weird how the eyes on the original Doggy had, like, different shaped pupils on both of them, because I feel like most of the skins don't have that. So I changed the pupil. I know I was talking about how I didn't want to change the pupil on the dinosaur because I didn't know if it had a special meaning, but this one, my special meaning is it's a police dog, so I made the pupils blue instead of like yellow or whatever the other one was, and made both eyes have the same pupils. And then I recreated the nose, which honestly, the nose doesn't look too bad, but at this point I was pretty lazy with the skin, so I didn't really put all that much effort into the nose. And then I fit it on to the rest of the face. I also added a little tuft of fur that was darker brown to the head. I changed the shirt and pants and stuff to match the color of the dog, and originally made the legs be the same shade of brown as the arms, but then he looked kind of naked, which I guess he sort of is, but I didn't want him to look that way. And it did make sense that the police dog had an axe, so I know this takes place in the UK, but I'm giving him a gun. A good old-fashioned American gun. Well, I guess police in the UK would also have guns. But whatever, this is the final skin. I was pretty lazy on the body because I was tired at this point. And editing this, I realized that I forgot to add the tail, so we're just gonna say that his tail got ripped off in duty. He's very dedicated to being a police officer. He's probably gonna lose his arm next. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that was the skin. It kind of doesn't look like the original Doggy skin at all. It looks like a whole new skin, like maybe his cousin. Definitely on the dog side of the family, not the bears. I named him Douglas because I was trying to think of a name for Doggy, and it was just the first name that popped into mind, so his name is Douglas. For the final skin, I'm going to be recreating Angel, which I feel like the Angel skin is a pretty good skin for an OG one, but I just thought it'd be fun to do an Angel skin. It has wings and a halo, but besides that, it's pretty basic. It just looks like the other piggies, and the halo kind of looks less like a halo and more like a foam wreath that you can get from the dollar store. And it also has this weird staff thing, which I don't even really know what it's supposed to be, but it looks kind of weird and I don't like it. And the dress is just pretty basic as well. So yeah. The first thing I did was get new wings. I was trying to find the wings that are in Royal High, but I couldn't find them, so I just got these different wings. And I was kind of going for more of a biblically accurate angel look. This was the reference I was following for the wings part of the skin. I was trying to make it so there was so many like wings going in different directions, but it wouldn't let me cut off part of the wing because it's a mesh. So I was kind of struggling to make it not look like really weird, since there was different parts of the wings that were intersecting too much, and it just looked like really busy, and it looked kind of weird. So I kept messing around with it for a while, and I eventually just gave up on making it like the picture and just kind of had just two wings. And then I replaced the halo with the Royal High halo because it looks more like a halo than the other one. I also just searched up halo in the toolbox to see if they had any better ones, and all the other ones just kind of looked like the original halo that was on the skin. But then I found this crown that I thought looked kind of cool, so I just added it in the back. My reference photo for the angel has a big eye in the middle, so instead of having this piggy head, I made an eye, which this time I actually had the eyelids be bigger than the eyeball. This one does not have astigmatism, I don't think. I changed the color of the eyelids to have sort of a fleshy color because I didn't want it to blend in too much with the eyeball. And then I added the iris to be the same color, I think about the same color as the other one, and I tried to add a pupil, but it was looking kind of weird, and piggy skins don't really have pupils anyway, so I just removed it. I deleted the original piggy head and just added it right back in so that I could add the ears and the nose to sort of add the piggy look, but then the nose I couldn't really position it to look right, so then I only kept the ears. And for the weapon, I wanted to have that kind of angel that has like chains around it and like an eye and stuff, and I was trying to see if there was one in the toolbox that someone already made, but there wasn't, and I didn't feel like making my own. I thought it'd be cool if the dress looked shredded, so I added in Ghosty to take its body, but then Ghosty's body wasn't as shredded as I remembered, so I just kept the dress the same and made it a little bit transparent and removed the decal, and then I made it look like it was flying at you and added some particles so it looks sparkly, and that's the skin. This one took me a little less than an hour. The first two both took me 2 hours and 15 minutes, so this was the most basic and easiest one. I think this one I low-key kept to the original design the most out of all of them, but I feel like all of them are pretty different from the original design. I just kind of like took the same concepts as the original design and then just made my own design. I named this one Angelica because it has angel in the name, and yeah, let me know what you think about these skins, if they look better, if they look worse, if they would look good as their own standalone. I honestly, I don't know. I'm not like some amazing builder or whatever who knows how to like make really cool piggy skins. I was just doing this for fun. But yeah, those are my 3 skins. Maybe I'll do more in the future. But anyways, guys, that'll be the end of this video. So next time, goodbye!